Good evening, this is Brad from Golden Golf Academy. I hope you had an awesome Sunday watching the Open Championship as I did. My wife made some killer nachos. Tonight what I want to talk to you about is a TaylorMade fitting sleeve for your driver. I've seen a lot of drivers that are really set poorly for individuals, and this is a subject I want to cover because I was lead fitter for TaylorMade in Tampa market, and I do help local rep quite a bit with some things. So I want to clear up a few things, let you guys understand how this driver works and sets up. This doesn't matter whether it's Stealth or Stealth 2. The setup, it works the same. Stealth 2 is actually more forgiving than Stealth 1. Ball speeds, from what I've seen, are near identical, but Stealth 2, because of not having any metal in the back of it, it's all carbon. I've seen a lot more forgiveness. Now, that being said, I still play Stealth 1. Really like the driver, just haven't got out of my hands, but Stealth 2 is great, considering getting one. Anyways, this is my actual personal play driver. So you see this awesome TaylorMade head cover I got here. And so while we're talking about this, I do have a Graphite Design HD 6TX in mine. This is tipped right an inch, so it plays a little stiffer. So I'm gonna grab my handy dandy TaylorMade tool out of here, and I'm gonna pop this head off real quick. I'm playing a 9 degree, and I'll let you see what setting I'm actually playing mine on. You're gonna see I'm playing it from lower and then one click towards upright. So that means my 9 degree is now playing virtually at 7.5, and with that slightly more upright. If I remember correct, my lie angle should be 58.75 off of that. So I like a little bit more upright angle, lie angle for myself, because the club face is now 3 degrees open with it going lower in loft. The way they do that is they open the face. So being 3 degrees more open on the face, I go upright with the lie angle to 58.75, and that allows me to offset that open face a little bit by going a little bit more upright. If I remember right, all the way lower is 58 degrees, standard's 56, and then all the way to the upright position should be 60. So we're gonna talk about that tonight. What do those numbers mean? So I'm gonna put that head there. And again, I told you, Stealth 1, sliders in the center. And I don't like getting the slider way either way. So if you're having to take the slider on Stealth 2, plus, or Stealth 1 and go all the way to the heel or all the way to the toe, the fitting's a little off. When we go that much, it really manipulates how the face moves. All the way heel, I see the face close down a lot faster. All the way in the toe, it does hold open longer. So I would rather see more in the center area here, not on the outside. So I don't mind moving the weight to here or to here, or even on a new head, you know, mostly down those, but I don't like seeing them all the way down. When I do that, I know something's a little bit amiss, and I need to adjust it. So anyways, that being said, I'll upload the graphic from TaylorMade on the tip on what it is. But what you need to do, what you need to understand, how does this affect you? So when I go all the way to the upright position, let's just talk there. Let's say I'm playing standard 9 degree. That's going to come in at 56 lie angle. But let's say that I'm losing the ball a little bit right. The plus drivers are their most right biased drivers. So they're going to be a little more right biased than left. If you're looking for more left bias, you need to be looking at the HD. Middle ground is going to be just the, as I call it, the core model, Stealth 2. And then you have the plus head, and it's going to be the most right bias, it's going to spin the least, okay? So that being said, standard lie angle at 56, and when you look at that, it's going to say standard loft right here. That's going to be that. So let's say you've got a 9 degree head, and you've got a small little cut, but your spin rates are good. You know, let's say you're spinning the ball 2300, good spin rates. You don't need a lower spin rate because that's keeping the ball in the air good. You're launching it, you know, 11, 12 degrees at least. With those numbers, you're going to be maximizing your potential for distance pretty well. The standard live, let's say you're losing a little bit right. What you would do is you would go to the upright right here, okay? From standard. What that's going to do is it's going to give you up to 60 degrees instead of 56. So that thing's going to set in just a little bit more. We're going to see the ball start online a little bit more, a little less to the right. And you should see it not move quite as much right. It should hold its line a lot better. And again, this is time fitting stuff. So when I go, anytime I go, like you heard me talk about mine earlier, let's say I play mine at 9 degrees in standard, and I'm actually seeing, 3,000 RPMs, which that's pretty close to where I'm at 9 degrees. I'm gonna go lower, but when I go all the way to full lower, which puts that at 58 degrees, it makes it 4 degrees open. It's a lot harder for me to draw the golf ball with that setting. Even though it's 2 degrees more up, the face is 4 degrees open, so it's quite a bit. Now my 9 degree driver is playing at 7 degrees. So what I do to offset that, because I want the spin down. So when I do that, spin goes from around 3,000 to 2,300. Sometimes 2,200, but 2,300 really pretty normal. What I'll do, because that ball starts to slide pretty hard on me, right? I'll see 10-yard cuts from that. Really hard for me to start turning it over. So what I do from there is I actually go one towards the upright. So that setting is going to be lower, right here, lower if you can see that. And then I go one upright. So that keeps me at 7.5 degrees. The face is only 3 degrees open there. And again, that keeps me from hitting such a hard cut. Now I'm cutting it, 3 to 5 yards, which I actually like. That's kind of my sweet spot, especially with driver. The newer drivers are harder to turn over than the older drivers with the smaller heads. And that's one of the reasons that TaylorMade brought out the mini driver, is because it is actually easier to draw than the larger headed drivers. But let's say that you're having an issue cutting the golf ball, and you want to try to draw it more. Well, we can also, now again, we can only use what our fitting sleeves allow us to do. There's no magic in magic golf club. If there was, we'd all be out buying it tomorrow, right? There'd be no more golf clubs made after that one. But what I would do is I would actually go to my upright setting, and then I would start going from my upright setting. I'd start clicking, because remember, upright is it's 60 degrees. So the more I get upright, just like with the iron, the more the ball's going to want to draw, because that face is going to set more. When you set it down, that toe's going to set up more and a little bit in. But at the same time, I can also add loft. So let's say I'm hitting the ball too low. Let's say I'm launching it too low and cutting it. So what I would do is I would start going towards my upright section. So that's going to start taking care of the cut. And then what I would do is start adding loft. So now I can start going towards higher here from upright. And so I can go, as I add loft and I'm more upright like this, what's going to happen is it's going to launch the ball up, and it's going to try to draw it more. So if I did that and I put the slider in the heel, that's going to be the most draw bias I can make this driver. It's going to make the driver more forgiving for most people. While where I play, it's going to make it more difficult to hit for most people with it open and flat. Well, it's not really flat, but it's more open, which makes it play flat. So back in the day before we had these, we'd actually bend drivers and 3 woods. We'd take 5 woods and 3 woods, and we'd bend them flatter and more open, and that would essentially take spin off and turn them down in loft. But anyways, so if you're looking to try to help your ball flight with this, the 2 things you need to know: standard loft is always the flattest, and I actually don't recommend it for most people. I would like to see you start your driver, everybody in the upright angle, just because the new drivers are harder to draw. When you go to the upright angle, it's going to make it more draw bias right out of the gate. It's going to make it easier to draw. Now, from there, you can watch and see what the ball's doing. You're probably going to launch it slightly higher from the upright setting. Once it's launched a little bit higher, I want you to see if it's fading, if it's drawing. If it's fading, what I want you to do is I want you to turn it 1 click higher. Just go 1 click higher from the upright position. That would look, so upright is right here. So from there, higher is going to be the left. So you're going to put it here in this position, 1 click, and that's going to allow that ball to be more draw bias with the driver. It's going to make it easier. Now, if you're hooking the golf ball from there, what I would tell you to do, there's 2 things you can do. You can go to standard loft. Standard loft will take some of that hook out because it's going to flatten the driver. Or you can just go lower from there. That's actually going to not only flatten the driver just a little bit, but it will also take a little spin off. So when you do that, so you're going to hit more bullets, and that's one thing you need to know. So basically, when we're going lower, each click, TaylorMade states 150 RPMs. in drop going lower. So you'll go from, let's say, your standard driver launch at standard, let's say 3,000 again. That's kind of where I would be on this 9-degree driver. As I went towards the lower here, I'm going to lose 150. So next I'd be at 2,850, and then if I go another click, I'm going to be at 2,700, and then and that's going to be one step in between standard and lower. So that's going to be right here. Okay. Now if I go one more click there, that's 400 RPMs less. So basically in the full lower setting, we're going to lower spin 400 RPM. So theoretically, I should take a driver from 3,000 RPMs to 2,600, but that's not always the case. Sometimes shaft release patterns play a vital role in this. So again, even though that's what's supposed to be said, that doesn't always correlate perfectly to those numbers. So basically what I would tell you to do is to start, I like to see people start in upright, because what that does is it gives me the most forgiving side of the driver, and work each way depending on ball flight. So I never like to start standard, just because the driver is so flat. Most people swing and the hands get higher, especially with driver nowadays. So I like to start at a 60 line angle and work from there, work my way down when I'm fitting. So that's where I would tell you to start at. Again, as always, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments and I'll answer them. But hopefully this tells you just a little bit how to set your driver up, which way to go. And then once you get dialed in on this part of it, you can start moving the slider. And again, we don't want to make major moves in the slider. We just halfway in between is about as much as I would like to see, because I don't want to be moving the center of mass around in the driver, because as you move the weights, it does change where the center of mass is just a little bit. Because my driver's open, you'll see that my wear spot's a little bit more in the toe. When that happens and it sets a little bit more open, you'll notice that the main weight that sits behind the ball, as it rotates open, sets, theoretically, it looks like it sets a little bit more behind the toe. I find the sweet spot when I'm hitting my driver set up the way it is to be about right there. The TaylorMade logo on the top is right there, but I actually find the sweet spot to be right there the way I have my driver set up. And again, it's all dependent on setup. If we go more upright and in, and we have this a little bit more in the heel, you're going to see the sweet spot to move just a little bit more towards the heel. Again, it's not going to be huge. Most people won't notice it, but it is something that I have played around with quite a bit. That's my head. You can see the wear spot's about right there. Now I hit a couple high in the face a little bit sometimes, right in here. So anyways, but that's a good starting point. Always start, in my opinion, when you get a new driver. My opinion is to start in the upright position. It does make the driver the most forgiving, and work your way lower or higher from there to match your spin rates and trajectory. Once you get that dialed in, then you can move the slider around at the bottom. And again, I'm in Stealth 1 still. Stealth 2 is amazing, a lot more forgiving than Stealth 1. Same ball speeds, highly recommend it. The reason I haven't switched yet is I've just been actually hitting this driver so well that I didn't see the need to switch this year. Doesn't mean I'm not going to by year's end. It just means that right now I've been hitting it really good. Again, if you have questions, ask them in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I hope you had a good Sunday watching the Open. Congratulations, Brian Harman. That was something fun to watch. Thank you guys. Have a good evening.